Jonesboro. I'd ask any of the new people that joined us, please put your telephones on low or vibrate or something if you would. And we have Mr. Hilburn here, and we have Mr. Hogue here, two well-known attorneys in the alcohol world here. Two well-known attorneys. It's kind of like a sparring match. Mr. Hogue is just back from a recent win, and you're here after a long series of wins and defeats. And Mr. Hogue's got plenty of those too. He has plenty of defeats as well.
And he's still tenderfoot.
He's a good
No,
guy.
he's not a rookie anymore.
Compared to him, I'll take it,
All right. Are we on the record?
Yes, we are.
Okay. If you two gentlemen would please identify your witnesses that you might have testify and have them stand, we'll swear them in. Mr. Hogue, if you would identify your witnesses.
I may not call all of these,
All right.
but Denny Beavers, Jim Tubbs, Ronnie Russell, Gerald Barker, and Stan Ballard, Richard Bond.
David, in case you need clarification on anything I did, it'll be all right for me to.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you solemnly swear, please raise your right hands, do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
David.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Hilbert.
Yes, sir.
The desiree of the permit, we will allow you to go first. If you'll please explain to the board what this permit is all about, hours of operation, and then be allowed to call your witnesses. And for those of you who haven't been here before, Mr. Hogue will then be able to cross-examine the witnesses, and then we start over on the other side.
Jackie, Mr. Timothy Wood, I had a conversation with me, just 500 Jonesboro, mile off part of the church to say I had to bring some brains with me. And you always know that.
That might help you out in this one, okay.
And with permission, Mr. Chairman, I have my witnesses who will go through the applicant, Ms. Aquino will go through the hours and the operation.
I didn't know.
That'll be great.
And my first witness will be Mr. Emerson, if you will take care of the
Can I
business.
have a recess and go find two other attorneys on my side? Don Bennett.
I thought you could handle anything.
Hey, Dave, that just means you gotta split the fee.
Yeah, you're right, you're right.
Keep it all to yourself.
Don Bennett's not doing anything.
I'll be easy on me. I'm already in this
Right here.
All right, sir, if you'll identify yourself for the record.
My name is Brian Emerson, citizen of Jonesboro. I am the chair of the Advertising and Marketing Committee for the Downtown Jonesboro Association. And that is a volunteer board, and I'm paying a job outside of that.
What was your last name?
Umberson, U-M-B-E-R-S-O-N.
If you would, Mr. Emerson, would you explain to the board basically what the Downtown Jonesboro Association is, its purpose, and some of what you're trying to accomplish?
The Downtown Jonesboro Association is a volunteer group with organizations, members scattered all through the downtown area. That's trying to do everything they can to support the innovation. Trying to also all kinds of support mechanisms in the downtown area, economic revitalization, urban development, housing, as well as support for retail services, and trying to do everything we can to create an economic driver out of downtown Jonesboro. Downtown Jonesboro, I lived in Jonesboro in 1996-99. I left, went to Atlanta. I lived down there and been there in Memphis until pretty last year, about March. When I moved back to Jonesboro, I was shocked because when I left in 1999, downtown Jonesboro, for lack of a better term, looked like a crack house. It was terrible. Not in good shape. A lot of buildings had been run down. And while I was gone, there was some tremendous investment that had been put in downtown, and there were some leaders in the town, like all the 30-something crowd that had come back into downtown, and bought some buildings, refurbished them, and started driving a retail environment and a restaurant environment. And then in the last few years, they've actually driven more of a community development.
I guess you're pretty excited about Mr. Burroughs Mall.
Well, that I think is a wonderful thing. Some people have some consternation about it because they're worried about the draw that's going to pull off of it. The downtown is more of a boutique environment, especially retail. The mall, you're going to look at more of your Old Navys, your Gaps, your Chico's, more of the high foot traffic type retail, more boutique environment type of. We've got stores downtown that are kind of a more of a service environment as opposed to a high foot traffic mall environment. So you're gonna look at, we've got shoe stores down there that are high-end designer shoes. We've got very top-notch restaurants, Sheffield's obviously. We've got different environments, a higher quality environment, a little bit lower foot traffic than what you're gonna see in the mall.
How's Piero's working out?
Very
down
well,
there?
very well. Been a great corporate citizen for us in the town. Very good. And it's great to have them, and I think that's also a very good leadership stance to look towards Sheffield, because we don't have bars, we have restaurants, okay? And that really is a driver. That's a wonderful thing for us. One of the things that really impressed me about downtown Jonesboro when I came back was that downtown Jonesboro, even though it's in a college town, it's not right next to the university. We're talking miles from the university. So it's a wonderful downtown environment, it's a college town, but it's a much more mature environment, okay? Because you look at Athens, Georgia, you look at downtown Fayetteville, Dixon Street, Oxford, Mississippi, the university is right next to you. So you got very much a pedestrian traffic of students that are coming down here. So you have a preponderance of a more younger crowd, okay? Downtown Jonesboro is more mature, yet it has kind of a hip urban feel to it. So I was really excited about it, and that's why when I got back, I got involved with that. So that's something that I think that really draws parallel with what's happening with downtown Little Rock and River Market. That has impressed me so much.
And you're aware of what this restaurant wants to do, their hours and everything, and has your association taken a position on this?
Yes, we are in support of that. We've actually issued
Is
a
there a
letter.
letter in here?
Yes, sir.
It's coming my way.
And we are in full support of anything we can do for these businesses or any of these businesses want to do to support and create revenue pipelines for themselves to support them. We have, as you mentioned, the mall. The mall is it's actually creating a draw in Northeast Arkansas. It's bringing more dollars. We're expecting about another $100 million to come back in Northeast Arkansas. It had been going to Memphis, okay? That's gonna be wonderful. Memphis is gonna be losing right now, thank goodness. East Arkansas supported Memphis for years, so luckily we're gonna take something back. The thing is though, is that that's bringing retail dollars back in Northeast Arkansas, but the problem we have is that it will cause some problems because a lot of chain restaurants, okay, chain stores have a wonderful name recognition. They've got massive advertising budgets. And one of the great things about downtowns is it's usually the soul of the community. So usually the restaurants that are down in most downtowns are usually independent restaurants. We don't have a lot of money to advertise. So what we can do to differentiate them or give them support mechanisms, we're all for it.
Okay.
What, Mr. Anderson, you have here, which we provided the board, is probably exhibit number 1. Can you kind of walk the board through that particular exhibit? And if you would, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board, this is what we're talking about here. So you'll have some idea of what the parking is and what we're doing to take care of it.
What I love is, I was born and raised in Fayetteville, and I see us doing a lot of the same things in Jonesboro, downtown Fayetteville. And what they've done is to take parking, try to do everything they can to create a parking atmosphere that's supportive and spread out very well. We have a lot of on-the-street parking, but we have a lot of parking lots that are scattered throughout town. Some of them are leased parking that the city of Jonesboro kind of got into the business of parking lots and leasing those, and we've gotten them to get out of that and actually turn a lot of these lots into free parking lots. So what you're seeing right now is parking lots and also the architectural rendering of how we're going to improve these parking lots. A lot of greenscape in the parking lots, and also it's going to give us a lot better accessibility, okay? Where a lot of this really is a driver for Sheffield's is that you're going to see and hear, actually there's another document I'll reference here in just a second, Mr. Wilson. I'm going to go too fast and overload this. We can do 2 documents at once. You could all reference this one also. All right? Okay. Well, what we have 159 lots and on the street parking. Okay. What we had a problem with in downtown Jonesboro is we have Northeast Arkansas's largest medical community and largest legal community. Okay. We have all the other businesses that are downtown, but we were not enforcing a 2-hour max on parking lots downtown on the street. And what this was doing to us was people that work downtown were pulling up on the street parking. They pull right in front of their business that they worked on and walk out basically all those spots for customer retail, restaurant, service establishments. So they've tied all those lots up. What we've done is gotten with the city and asked them to enforce a 2-hour max. We're going to enforce that. We've taken these lots right through here. We want to improve these lots. Some of them have already been approved. Okay. We've put fountains in some of them. There's artwork in some of them, sculptures. So it's really nice. What we've done is we've taken these lots, we've moved lots, opened up lots in Union and Church, which are 2 parallel streets, 2 main streets. What we're going to do is get the employees that are parking on Main Street, or parking on the street lots, to move into these outer lots. and open up the retail restaurant search spots.
Let me ask you this, pardon me for interrupting. Let's take Sheffield's individually.
Yeah.
With what you have planned, when you address the Sheffields have a parking lot.
No. Sheffield, one of the great things about Sheffield is why I have you reference this document right here. Okay. What's happened is that we have taken the look on the document right here, the list of parking spots. What you have right here is there's 300 Union parking lot. There's 83 parking spaces that were confusing to the community because there was a radio station that took up the first row of spots right along Union Street, and it had lease signs reserved all the way across it. So everybody thought that whole lot was reserved. So nobody would park there. There was 70-something little lots back in spots, but nobody would park it because they thought that front row was indicative of the whole lot. So what we're doing is we're moving their spaces. We're putting signage that says this is free parking. So that's 83 more spots that are going to be
That's
open.
this email that we got here that somebody
sir.
had written, Mr.
Mr. Mike Everett,
Edward says that
to Dr. Golden, which is the president.
y'all
of
have been
downtown.
through the police chief to get this done. Okay.
So that's all, basically, so what we're doing is proving there that it's not just talk, it's actually the actions being done also. And then the thing is that then you've got the Sheffield's parking lot. If you look back to the very back page of the parking lot diagrams, you'll see that Sheffield's actually, these are Downtown Jonesboro Association documents, okay? Sheffield has a lot behind it, okay? You'll look on the very back page, you'll see Sheffield's parking lot. That Sheffield's parking lot, you'll see Union Street right there. You see Triple FM, that's the radio station. Right across from that Triple FM, which would be, if you're looking at this correctly, where Union Street is, on the other side of Union Street from Triple FM, that's the other 83 lots. So you have Sheffield's parking lot, which has 33 spots, plus the 83 we're adding at Triple FM, okay?
Well, how big is this restaurant?
Well,
How many seats?
300 seating capacity.
then you've got 159 spots all up and down the street, on the street, okay? Then what we have here is what we call the Fierro's parking lot. We actually call that now the Central Plaza parking lot after we got into Fountain Studio. And that lot right there has another 24 spots, okay? Then you got 159, there's a lot of parking spaces, okay? So then we've also improved the crosswalks. We had speed bumps on the crosswalks that created traffic flow issues. Those have all been redone. They will be done actually in 2 weeks.
So it's your opinion that this restaurant, there would be adequate parking downtown, there's nothing that's going to, and this is your opinion, you're not a traffic engineer, but it's your opinion that there are plenty of parking spots downtown. Are there still going to be plenty of parking spots as other businesses, not necessarily restaurants, but other things begin to open up?
Yes, sir. What's going to happen? What happened was there was what we call the skateboard park. And the skateboard park was
Heard about
overturned.
this.
Yes, that skateboard park was an interesting deal. We overturned that, and turned that back into a parking lot. We picked up another 98 additional spots on the other side of Church Street. So what that does, that evaporates some of the demand from the other side of Main Street. So that helps pull that right there. It's 2-hour enforcement. We'll be moving them, the workers, back to the outside perimeter parking lots, I should say, on Church and Union. So what that's doing is that's opening up all that flow down through there. So we needed that really bad. And we didn't get all that until the last month. So that's really, this is also dynamic and changing, and it's been wonderful for us. We're so excited about the changes.
You were to a little bit, very briefly, about how the residential development has started to come back with the advent of the development, redevelopment of that.
Absolutely. That's probably one of the most exciting things. Matter of fact, AY Magazine did a special on loft living in downtown Jonesboro. Yeah, really neat deal. We've been really impressed. We've got probably over 30 lofts right now in development, and we've got more on the I guess you could say the docket, with Bruce Burroughs buying the large 7-story building downtown, and so we don't know if he's going to turn that into lofts and more offices. We're very excited about that. What happens now is we're taking the biggest commercial developer in Northeast Arkansas, he's invested in downtown. So that right there adds more credibility to us. And so we've been extremely excited about that. And we've created a community downtown that is, usually your phase 3, phase 4 type deal, because you've got to bring back your restaurants, your retail, your services, get people to drive back into downtown. And we've done all that.
How large is Jonesboro now?
60,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Probably the second largest city in the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's with the college.
In Fayetteville, neck and neck, right?
I remember North Milwaukee was always.
Yep.
We've made those statements. But we're progressing, and if you'll think about analogizing what we've got in North Florida, what's happening in our ministry, and what's happening in Preston, and that, if you think about it, it started out with heating establishments. Then they've come now with the residential, and then now we've got, of course, the library and everything else that's going on. But you gotta start small by getting the people down there who want to get it. And do you feel that y'all are, I guess, are paralleling what's happened in Little Rock and Presidential and what's happening now in Norfolk?
Absolutely. We actually did a benchmarking tour, came out of Little Rock one day, about 3 months ago, just to check it all out again and make sure we've got our direction right. Because it's
Well,
just
kind of sum it up for us here. We need to move along. That
Sure.
you,
Like talk for
yeah. I can tell you're excited about Jonesboro. Sum it up for us as to what you think this place would do for the overall downtown.
I think with Sheffield's, one of the things is it's an impressive restaurant with an impressive menu. And what that is, that's a differentiating factor because it helps because of the Curos of the world, pizza restaurants, even a gourmet pizza restaurant. And what it does, it creates a differentiated atmosphere for our whole downtown. It drives quality as opposed to the retail buffet type atmosphere we have in a lot of the restaurants in Jonesboro. And Sheffield's, if they could get in and get their permit, it would be more of an economic driver for them and more of a support mechanism for them because Curos is able to stay open late. And what's happened is downtown Jonesboro, even though we've done a lot of great things, I'm very excited. One of our problems is we have an hour limitation. Most of the stores, not most, 99% of stores close by 5:30. Okay, we've created more of a boutique environment than we want. We want to expand that and get to where we get the people that can come down and shop after hours. The problem is there's not enough foot traffic for the retail stores to stay open. And if we can get more of the restaurants to stay open, it changes the whole market dynamic. And that's what we've been wanting so desperately. And so we're so excited about this because if Sheffield does this, they're going to stay open at night. And that's just going to help us so much because we need that. We really do because the foot traffic creates the stores staying open, which then create another incremental draw because the stores are open and now people go down and shop and we get an exponential growth. And we really need that. Well, that's what we need to do because the thing is the mall is open till 9. And what's going to happen is the mall is going to hurt us in the evening because people, they're going to say, well, I don't want to take off extra work. I don't want to take off early from work today to go downtown before they close. I'll just wait for the shopping from all time. And we're going to lose that.
Well, there's no one at the mall has asked for an alcohol permit at this point.
Well, and you look at their foot traffic. I mean, they've got a draw. They've got they are actually a destination. Okay?
They will at some point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any questions of this witness?
Then this establishment, the United States Fine Dining Restaurant,
Yes, sir.
and how long have y'all been business?
Or association?
Oh,
Here, restaurants been there.
Mr. Kino's been operating.
Okay.
Been in existence over, yeah, 10 years.
Yeah. Her ownership.
And you've looked at it under the expanded private club law of a couple of years ago, and you feel like that this fits.
Absolutely. We really do. Because the deal is, they're not going to be a bar at all. Okay? It's going to be a restaurant that serves. Okay? That's great. And what happens is the fine dining atmosphere, that crowd that we have, if we really want to drive, this is another segment of the downtown issue we want to revitalize. We need the business traveler expense account dollars from downtown. And they're entertaining customers. We need them to be able to go to fine establishment, be able to entertain their customers. And they're bringing in people from Chicago, St. Louis, Atlanta, that are not used to having iced tea with them.
The restaurant's been there 10 years, but it's just been under new management for
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Kino.
Okay, other questions of the board? All right, we're going to turn you over to Mr. Hogue here.
I don't have any questions for this gentleman.
Makes life easier. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
testimony.
Thank
Thanks for coming down.
Came out with both, just one leg or?
Get off that foot.
Thank you, and if you'll identify yourself for the record, please.
My name is Kate Soren. I'm a 20-year-old graduating senior at Arkansas State University. I'm a lifetime resident of Jonesboro, Arkansas. And throughout my undergraduate experience at Arkansas State University, I started out getting involved in Greek life on campus and went on to help the overall Greek community. I was vice president of gamma, which is Greek student, advocating the mature management of alcohol, and also NBC. Got involved in the student activities board, which gave me an opportunity to get involved campus-wide, and then from there, ran and was elected as student body president, and just wrapped up my last term, so.
Congratulations.
Have you graduated?
I'm graduating in May, I'm very excited
What's your
about it.
degree in?
Journalism with an emphasis in public relations.
Okay, what's your,
Right, journalist of Arkansas right here. She can tell you everything you need to know.
so what's your stake in this?
Well, the reason why I have an interest in this is because obviously as my experience as student body president, I was able to come in contact with so many students at Arkansas State University. I was representing some 11,000 students that are on our campus. And just to give you a little bit of history about the student population at Arkansas State, we have a very unique student population there. And one fact that we have 20% of our student population are non-traditional students, which means that they're older, married with families, they've been out in the workforce for a few years and come back and gone to school. So that is one thing that is quite unique about our student population. In addition to that, more than half of our students would be over the age of 21. And just to talk a little bit more about the college student, just like any other college across this nation, of course you know the rise of college tuition continues to increase. And that and the ability of students to be able to obtain the amount of financial aid in order to pay for their schooling has decreased equally, which causes for almost every single student that I've ever come into contact with to have to work in order to either finance their college education or to help cover the living expenses that are associated with that education. Even students that are scholarship are open to this particular problem as well. I'm a student that was no different from that. I came into ASU on a full paid scholarship and I've continuously kept a job the entire time in order to cover my living expenses as well. What Sheffields and granting a license for Sheffields will do is provide more opportunities for students to get better paying jobs in order to finance their college education. As opposed to working at an establishment where they're only going to be receiving minimum wage at $5.15 an hour. A restaurant like this, the student goes into it, is very successful at it. Not only are they looking at a higher wage overall, but they're looking at tips and a better chance of being able to meet that financial burden that all students face today.
Nobody's connected to breathe any secondhand smoke, very sure. Let me ask you this question because I know Mr. Hogue will ask you. You're not here in any official capacity, though, are you? On behalf of Student Senate or the school or anything, you're here as an individual. Is
I
that
am here as
correct?
an individual.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll ask some questions.
Sure,
She'd
absolutely.
do a lot better if I don't answer.
Yeah, you better
questions.
stay. You better be quiet.
Stay quiet. If you would, Ms. Martin, talk about as far from the social activities of students like yourself and what college students at Arkansas State, if they have special occasions, normally what have they been doing?
Well, I can tell you another experience that I've had at Arkansas State University was serving on the orientation staff. And that is probably the #1 question that we get asked. I work with both incoming students and also with parents that are there. What is they do in Jonesboro? And it's always a very difficult question to ask or to answer to them. Students, whenever you have a special occasion or something like that, there's really not a whole lot of venues in Jonesboro for them to be able to travel to, causing them to push out to that Memphis market and go out further in order to attain those certain types of social activities. I know a lot of Greek life establishments, they are having to travel an hour or more just to have certain social functions, such as formals or other things of that nature, because of the nature of the city of Jonesboro. This actually, the license, it just kind of provides an opportunity for students that are of age, which is a large population of the students at Arkansas State University, to be able to have a different type of experience in a restaurant setting. Sheffields is a wonderful restaurant. I personally love it and would like to go there, but aren't able to go there during the nighttime, and students hardly ever get to eat lunch. I don't know if it's not just with me, but just about any student. So they aren't able to service a lot of our students at Arkansas State right now. We would really like to see to be able to go and eat at the restaurant lunch.
How do you think this will be any different from the other there's some other establishments up there. Mr. Hurd has the Club Red up there, I believe, and then you have the 501, which is basically a steakhouse, and Piero's up there. How would this restaurant be different? How do you see that?
Well, one thing that is quite different for Sheffield's is that it's a lot more affordable. Because if you look at clubs like 501, with Outback coming out with their license as well, it's a quite expensive meal.
Missed them.
I ate at Outback the other day and it was a $25 meal just for myself. So if you look at it from that standpoint, Sheffield's is quite more affordable, which is within the range of our students.
Other questions of this witness from the board? Other questions, Mr.
No, sir. Pass the witness.
All right.
Things I just don't understand. I'm not supposed to ask questions as a lawyer from the point of ignorance. I'm supposed to only ask questions that I know the answer to, and I'm going to take a risk.
There's no stupid questions
Yeah, I'm not
here,
saying
believe me.
It's always a risk, though. I don't understand why you can't go to Sheffield's at night.
Well, I
Why
don't,
not just say that?
they're not open every single night. They've been trying to come open, I believe on some Thursdays, with something like that, but right now they're not able to be open at night.
So are you telling the board, you're not telling me anything, but are you telling the board that the only reason why they cannot open at night is service of alcohol?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that at
Okay,
all.
so they could be open right now, they're just not, but when they get alcohol, if they get alcohol, then they'll suddenly be open at evening times too, which will provide this big list all the time, right?
Well, I'm probably not the most qualified person to answer that. Probably the owner would be a much better person that can talk about how they should make some decisions as to the business hours and things like that.
Okay, now I just wanted to straighten that up. You also said something about Greeks having to travel an hour for their social functions, and I don't really understand that. Am I right or am I wrong to say that as much as you have this big population at is it ASU? Yeah. ASU, as much as you have this big population of non-traditional
Take
students.
some time and don't pay attention.
Yeah,
This is
sorry.
Northeast Arkansas.
Sure.
As much as you have this big population of non-traditional students at ASU, we're talking about Greeks having to travel for their social functions. Are the non-traditional students the same people as the Greeks, or not? The Greeks
No.
are probably younger ones.
It's a different population segment. The Greeks on ASU campus are approximately about 1,000 students, which would be about 10%. Non-traditionals would be about 20%. So it's two entirely different populations on the ASU campus.
I just wanted to make sure I understood that. The next thing is are you suggesting that the Greeks are going to have their social functions at a place like Sheffield?
I'm not saying that they're going to have social functions at a place like Sheffield's, but it would give them an opportunity. For example, I just recently had a friend who got engaged. And so we might be looking to have an engagement party for or something like that. Just something small with close friends. Just something to that effect.
Okay.
I don't necessarily want to take her all the way out to Memphis in order to be able to have a nice engagement party for her.
Okay, there's no place in Jonesboro that you can have a nice engagement party right now.
Not for a college student. Like I said earlier, I mean, it's not really on my behalf. I can't really rent out the 501 very well. I don't even have a membership at a lot of the clubs because if you go to so many different of them, I mean, that starts to get adding up in cost as well. And it would provide a different kind of atmosphere, actually. You know, you go to other places like, say if you went to Club Red, that's an entirely different atmosphere than what this would be. And this would be a nice, quiet restaurant type setting where you can simply just go and have a personal time with friends.
That exists in Jonesboro right now, just not with alcohol.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay. You said that you were advocating the economic growth and the fact that this would bring jobs to a lot of these non-traditional as well as traditional students, I guess. Are you telling this panel that the service of alcohol at this one restaurant is going to promote jobs for ASU students, or is lots of restaurants like this going to promote jobs? Do you see the difference?
Mm-hmm. I'm saying that Sheffields is a strong supporter of Arkansas State University and its students. A lot of students have worked at Sheffields in the past and have been able to have an opportunity to have a better paying job. if, you know, like I said earlier, if this calls for the business hours to extend into the winter time, I can see more students being able to be employed with Sheffield, which would be a benefit to the student body as a whole.
And when we say more students, we're talking, 5 to 10 more students to get jobs at Sheffield.
That's 5 or 10 more students that are being able to finance the college education that weren't able to before that.
I understand. I have to wonder if those 5 or 10 can find jobs somewhere else, whether they go to Sheffield to get a job, get an alcohol permit or not. Or, and let me ask you this, if isn't it true that if Sheffield's would just expand their business hours right now, that would solve the problem whether they got alcohol or not, as far as the jobs?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm not sure if they're financially able to extend their hours or not. Of course, I can answer to that effect, but going back to what I was saying, any venue that's going to be able to provide more jobs for the students of Arkansas State University is going to be a benefit to the student body as a whole.
Are you here advocating Sheffield's getting a alcohol permit, or are you sort of advocating a bigger picture, which is more restaurants and jobs and so forth coming into?
Well, I would always love to see more jobs coming into Jonesboro. That's good for me as a graduating senior. But what we're talking about today, obviously, is Sheffield and being able to grant them this license. And I just think that this is one benefit to that particular license.
Do you think this is somehow a linchpin or a key to the whole project, or is this just one small part that may or may not make a big difference?
Well, I'm not saying that I'm looking at it as a giant project. I think that any city like Jonesboro with its size is looking to grow. The new mall has been a great addition to that as far as jobs go. Sheffield would just be one more addition in which students are able to meet jobs in order to meet their financial requirements.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate it.
Oscar, I'll talk to her.
I think I would if I was you, Sam.
All right, welcome, and please identify yourself for the record.
My name is Carrie Lino. I'm the owner of Sheffield Restaurant
They're kind of old, though. They're like I am. They
No.
don't
Okay,
get me.
Sam.
We're recording this.
Okay. My name is Carrie Lino, and I'm the owner of Sheffield Restaurant, 305 South Main, Jonesboro, Arkansas.
And Ms. Aquino, if you would, Chairman, I just want to tell them about what Sheffield's is, what your operating hours are at the present time, and what you think this, if they grant this permit, how it would help your business and help downtown Jonesboro.
Basically, our business hours at the current time are 10:30 to 3. And so basically, we're open for lunch only. We did attempt approximately 6 months ago to be open nights. And basically, when we first started being open at night, we had a mass group of people coming in, and we said, it's just, we can go over to Piero's, we can go to another place that offers us wine or
Excuse
steak.
me for interrupting. Where's Piero's?
Piero's is just across the street
Across
from
the
me.
street.
So I noticed when we would be open at night, I would see people over at Piero's. They weren't coming into Sheffield. So basically, I had the college students that Candace is speaking of making Zippo on tips, and no one there. And the people that did come said, man, if we could get some wine, or if I could have a glass of wine with the steak you're serving, I'd love to come.
What sort of restaurant are you? Tell us.
I like to classify it as casual fine dining.
Okay.
It's not a place.
You have a steak and seafood menu, that
At
sort of
night, we
thing?
have pasta, steak, seafood items.
You have the linen tablecloths.
We do have linen tablecloths.
Carrie, do you have a background in restaurants or hospitality industry or?
No, sir. I'm actually an operating room registered nurse.
But being from Northeast Arkansas.
Boy, talk about a change of pace there.
Actually, it's a whole lot like running a hospital, like running an OR.
Really?
Managing the staff, pleasing people, making people happy, kitchen staff.
It's clean.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But as president, there's some change, and we had recently moved to Jonesboro and noticed the revitalization that was going on downtown and wanted to be a part of that. The restaurant was currently open. The chef that had been there for 4 years was looking to stay on. The lady who had had it for a number of years was wanting to retire. So I kind of stepped in, took over, and she had the same difficulty with being open at night. So she had seen her sales just basically the people had asked her to be open, had asked her to be here for 8 hours.
Mr. Holder posed a question a while ago to Ms. Martin about, certainly there is an economic factor here in that if you get the wine you feel economically, it will benefit you.
Absolutely.
And also, but that's not the sole reason that you want a liquor permit. Okay, and are you part of the Jonesboro downtown development board?
Yes, I am.
And you have served on that since you've been downtown?
Yes.
Who are two, give me an example of some of the largest employers in the city?
Well, we had Nestle, and we have
Approximately how many employees?
I believe close to 2,000.
Both of these are Jack.
Oh, yes.
Do you have executives who have come into your city and have dined from these companies? And they question you about why you do not have that?
But it's actually, it's a hard thing to explain to people, coming from Atlanta, about, try to explain to them that, yes, I can offer your clients these great deals, you can bring them here, but forget the wine and dine and it's done.
Let me ask you a question. And I ask this of a lot of people from Jonesboro. Do you support the overall wetting up of that county, liquor stores and bars?
No, sir.
You wouldn't vote for that?
No, sir.
But you do support restaurant alcohol.
Yes, I'm not looking to get Jonesboro drunk. I just want to be able to offer a glass of wine with steak. And that doesn't mean that every person that comes in, I'm going to say, hey, here, I'm going to dispense some glass of wine to put in my restaurant. It's a choice that I feel like should definitely be here in my restaurant.
Thank you.
What you're saying here is you're just better, you would like to better serve the public.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Keno, if you would, tell the board about some of the charitable endeavors that you have been involved in from your establishment.
We participate in fundraising activities with the Northeast Arkansas Humane Society. Please make your pets stay in nature. And we're also a big supporter of the Craighead County Drug Court. They have a rehabilitation program. And as the graduates come through the program, they have graduation ceremony for them. We provide the food for that. We're also part of the Make-A-Wish. And they grant a wish for a child. We had a child a couple of months ago that wanted to go to Hawaii. They granted that wish. And they always ask that we cater something according to their wish. So we basically had tropical fruit and, fun stuff. As Candace has mentioned, we do support KASU, which is Arkansas State University radio station. We sponsor their blues music program. And we're also part of CASA, working special advocates for these children, participating in fundraising activities. And then something that's personal to me, we support the Craighead County Soccer Association. I have their boys. And they need new boys.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Have you, in your soccer section, as a soccer mom, I don't know if you saw in the paper today where North of Rock has got 128 teams coming to North of Rock. And with an average of about 9 per team on the field and about 15 per team, that translates into a lot of folks coming in the team. Have y'all been able to bank those kind of draws with, and I know Jonesboro is big on soccer.
Big soccer town. And we do have a lot of soccer tournaments that go on down at the park. Families that are coming in, soccer tournaments. Our restaurant is a family-friendly environment where they can be coming, enjoying the meal.
charitable organizations that you participate in, you continue to participate in those Boy Scouts.
Yes.
And you contribute money, time, effort, food.
All that.
Good for y'all.
Okay. And let me ask you this. I think the chairman asked, he did ask the question at the start. How would you distinguish your restaurant from other restaurants who have non-profit status in Jonesboro?
Well, I think we're very active in the community. I very rarely, I don't know if it's my nursing background, but I very rarely turn down a cause that we can support.
And she mentioned too, from just an economic standpoint, so instead of being able to eat at your establishment versus the other establishments.
Well, I know personally, Candace spoke to Outback, being a college student, being a mother with 3 children, I would bump it up to the 501 club and say that $120 for 2 people. We're in a price range that's different from the Sierras across the street. Being a more casual fine dining atmosphere, people I think feel more comfortable coming into the restaurant, whereas Piero's and 501 Club, you gotta put on your best studs.
So you think your restaurant, the young lady that testified before you said that she thought your pricing was more reasonable than 501 or any of that, Outback. So you think,
Y'all have a menu with by any chance?
Maybe not first one would be.
there may be one in the tile, there may be one here in the
But at the same time, you still have like a
Yes, sir. That's actually my mom.
Okay.
I like it.
You know, Independence County gals, them old cricket.
All right. What else?
One other thing,
move
you
on.
have before you certain exhibits, and I would like you to go through those very quickly. Oh, one other thing, before we get into these letters, have you had music there?
Yes, we have.
And do you have this relationship with the ASU where you can have all kinds of music?
Yes, there are many musicians, starting artists at ASU that would like to have the opportunity to come down and entertain at my restaurant tonight.
And did you at least attempt, were you having some kind of a blues night?
Yes, we continue to have one night a month for the ASU.
Now, if you would, very quickly, Mr. Chairman, if he's getting patient, go through these letters real quick.
That's fine.
I'll just touch on it. We have the Jonesboro Single Planning Association, ladies very involved in the revitalization.
Ms. Cody, you got a copy?
Not yet, but I can read hers.
She gonna go put my hand in the
That's
water.
fine.
A letter from Mr. Fortenberry, Vice President Regional Manager of Channel 8 News
Let me give him
in
the board.
Jonesboro.
Yeah, let us look through those as we go. Those are,
And he basically discusses
yep,
recruiting employees from all regions of the country, and they oftentimes miss out on some of their best talent.
If you would, she's on the second page on where the letter from the TV station, and I guess you call attention to that second paragraph about,
That they miss out on some of their best talent because they don't have the offerings of entertainment and dining options. They do bring a lot of their clients in at lunch, but they have a lot of people that come in at night and they have basically a couple of places that they can entertain clients. The next letter is Mr. and Mrs. Wiseman, and they actually live downtown, and they knew the downtown area was known for crime, property values were declining. These people are actually non-drinkers. They're in full support of this restaurant. They feel like it's an important part of the economic impact.
you say they're non-drinkers,
Yes.
and they have moved.
Yes. And then I have, the next 2 letters are from Mr. Brackett, Mr. Kernridge, they're local architects and have a business downtown. And they're very involved in the revitalization of downtown. I also have a letter from the COO of the EA Clinic, which is the hospital in Jonesboro. And again, he goes to recruiting physicians in the market
would like on that with Scott Davis, who's the CEO of the hospital. That second paragraph kind of spells out his difficulty.
And next, so insurance agent whose business is located downtown, he's will support. Arnold Group Real Estate, across the street. Herbert and Marie Parker written a letter, they actually own the building next door to me, they rent out quarters to leave during this court. Basically, these are just letters from local business owners. I also got a letter from the Chamber of Commerce, Terry White, Executive Vice President, will support the lease.
That's the next to last letter, Jonesboro Chamber Regional.
She feels like.
So the Jonesboro Regional supports this thing? Yeah, she's been here
Yes.
before. Okay.
And then I have a letter from Wallace Fowler Jr., he's also a business owner downtown, Subway.
Mr. Fowler owns most of the immediate world, I think, other than Mr. Merle.
Actually, Mr. Bowman is in there.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Now, who were the Parkers?
The Parkers, they own the building next door to me, which is leased out to quarters and leave.
Who's the green shutter?
That's an antique store across the street, business owner,
Okay, and the Subway, which is also down here?
that's Wallace Fowler.
That's Wallace, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll pass it.
All right, questions of the board, this witness?
Oh, one other thing, these petitions, let me put those in.
All right, go ahead. And how many, these are petitions of,
In support.
and how many of them are there?
600.
600. And how, I always ask this question of petition supporters, how were these petitions gathered?
I had it at my restaurant and asked, I had some people not sign it. Yeah, obviously, and I had it out and asked them if they supported us and
Mr. Chairman, just a couple of quick questions. Ms. Aquino, what are your hours going to be?
we have 5 to 9.
Monday through Saturday?
5 to 9.
Now,
She's tried it otherwise.
but now you're open for lunch?
Yes, sir.
So,
You gonna continue to be open for lunch?
so actually you're going to be open from
I'm
what?
gonna have a 2-hour span there, we're gonna be open from 3 to 3 for lunch, 3 through.
But you're not gonna serve alcohol?
Or you are?
I am.
Okay, so,
Just- we
well, let's
shut down
change
from
the,
3 to 5.
Yeah, but
All
you're
right.
going to serve alcohol at lunch, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. all
so
right.
the real, if we grant this, the hours are actually 10:30 to 9.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah,
correct?
That's
Yes.
right.
All right.
I'm sorry.
And what you're looking for here is, because you've got 300 seats, I believe, you can do special events, banquets, wedding, sorority functions, weddings, bar mitzvahs, whatever. Okay.
We currently do functions
It is-
that I question every time.
Why, is there back rooms or?
We have 3 balcony seating areas. It's basically Sheffield used to be the old Woolworth store.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so, the upstairs areas.
They're partitioned off.
Yeah.
So you could actually be having 3 functions up there at once. That's great.
3 rehearsals.
That's great.
Have you had that happen at this point already?
Yes.
And they all asked about where the
They
alcohol
all
was.
want, because, yeah, I mean, with any wedding, any function, you have people come out of town guests. and
Champagne,
they're,
wine.
where somebody can come out, get a glass of wine.
But you're not interested in Sunday? Okay. Monday through Saturday. Mr. Chairman, that's it.
And I passed it.
Mr. Toad?
Could you explain to the board what your alcohol menu consists of? Is it just the wine that you're talking about, or is it something you
I would
full-service permit.
I hear a lot, and this is, I'm asking some dumb questions today. I've heard, oh, there are.
This is ABC hearing, there are no dumb questions.
I've heard so many people say that how difficult it is to explain when somebody from Nestle comes in and says, why can't I get a beer or a wine or whatever, how difficult that is to explain. Have you ever tried this as a dry county?
I have, and I do, and they take their business elsewhere.
Okay.
To Memphis.
Nestle, they're still there, right?
Yes.
And ASU is still there, and most of these big corporations that are in Jonesboro, have they come in and said, because we can't get a drink here, we're gonna move our business somewhere else? This is what I don't
No,
understand.
but they write letters saying they have difficulty recruiting people. They have
Okay.
difficulty getting perhaps the people they want to work there,
Okay.
convincing them to live in a dry county.
But this is still the second biggest city in Arkansas, and we're still the fastest growing, or one of the fastest growing in Arkansas. And this is something I hear, and I know the board hears over and over and over again, that how hard it is to grow a city without alcohol in a dry county. And yet the two places that they keep hearing this from is Conway and Jonesboro, who are two of the fastest growing places in Arkansas. Can you make sense, or can you reconcile the fact that these are already the fastest growing places in Arkansas, and they're growing by leaps and bounds every day, but they can't attract businesses and people because of the lack of alcohol?
That's the way they explain it to me, and as a business person, as I said before, they come into my business, and like I said, even if the Frito-Lay people come in, even if the Nestle people come in, people that are with them, they're already ordering drink before I can tell them. This is a dry county, then they're looking at the guy that brought them in. He even mentioned that before we came in here, and
Have you reached a spot where those people from Nestle and all those people don't bring anybody anymore?
yes, they have.
Okay. But Jonesboro still hasn't seen the effect of it. Oh, Jonesboro still growing
I have seen the effect of it.
in your business. Understood. It seems like one of the reasons you're wanting an alcohol permit is to stay open later and compete with the heroes. Is that right?
I've had people within the restaurant request, want me to stay open later. They enjoy the food that we have at night, and as I said before, however, they would like for me to be able to offer them a glass of wine for staying.
Well, everybody up there that has a permit is in competition with each other.
Exactly, restaurants.
In one form, sort of in one, it's not the same sort of deal, but everybody's got permits, and so they're going after the consuming.
We're all
public.
for all of it.
Well,
Thank you for that.
When I say compete with Piero's, I only use Piero's as an example, because they're right across the street.
Right.
I
And that's
watch
why I used
patrons
them
go
too.
into his business.
I understand.
That do not come into mine.
I understand, and that's why I said that too. One more thing. Well, strike that. I'm done.
Okay, other questions of this witness?
There does seem to be a correlation, though, back to Mr. Hope's statement about Jonesboro and Conway being the two fastest growing and they're dry. But it seems like in the last couple of years,
They're the ones that ask.
they're the ones that ask. So I'm not sure how that correlation works or what it means or anything else, but
We're just hoping Arkadelphia doesn't get real busy. Okay.
We have nothing further.
You have nothing further. Okay. Mr. Hope, before we start
coming down.
thank you very much. Before we start your presentation, we're going to take about 5 minutes here.